A Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder, Chapter 9, Part 2. Hannah stashed the dress box in the Suburban and walked back into the bakery with a bemused expression on her face. She'd certainly spent a lot of money helping Bill investigate Ron's murder. She'd dropped $50 with Luann for the cosmetics, and she'd spent $90 with Claire for the dress. As she passed the work island, the phone on the wall started to ring. Hannah called out to Lisa that she'd get it and picked up the receiver. "The cookie jar, this is Hannah." "Hi, Hannah." It was Bill, and he sounded discouraged. "I'm just checking in with you. I'm out here at the dairy doing interviews." "Did you learn anything new?" "Not a thing. Everyone else came in at 7:30 and Ron had already loaded up and left by then." "What about Max Turner? Did you speak to him yet?" "No. Hold on a second, Hannah." There was a lengthy pause, and then Bill came back on the line. "Betty still expects him to call in today, and I told her to get a number, and I'd call him back to tell him about Ron. How about you? Do you have anything for me?" "Yes, and it could be important." I talked to Claire Rogers, and she remembered that she saw a homeless man in the alley about 7:45. He was huddled in the thrift shop doorway, and she gave me a description. Let me get out my notebook. There was another pause, and then Bill spoke again. "Okay, give it to me." He was wearing baggy clothes and had bright red hair sticking up in spikes. Claire said she'd seen him around town before. "Good work, Hannah." Bill sounded pleased. "I'll run over to the soup kitchen at the Bible church and see if they know who he is, and I'll check up with the thrift shop. They might have let him in. Anything else?" "Maybe, but I'm not sure. Ron went to the dentist for that cracked tooth I told you about, and that was why he was running late. I'll get back to you the minute I know more." Hannah hung up the phone, and then she picked it up again to punch out her mother's number. She couldn't put Dolores off forever. As she listened to the empty ringing, she began to smile. Her mother was out, and she left a brief message. "Hi, it's Hannah. I'm just returning your call. Guess you must be out. I'll see you later at the Regency Romance Club meeting." Hannah had just hung up when Lisa stuck her head around the side of the swinging door. "Your sister's here, Hannah." "Send her back here with 2 mugs of coffee," Hannah instructed, walking to the counter to pile a half-dozen white chocolate supremes on the plate. There weren't many left, and she suspected that Lisa's new recipe had been a success. Then she sat down on a stool and wondered what new crisis had brought Andrea to the cookie jar for the second day in a row. "Hi, Hannah," Andrea greeted her. "Here's your coffee." She plunked down the 2 mugs of coffee, saw the cookies, and grabbed one before she even sat down. "These new cookies are heavenly. Everybody's raving about them, and they're all sold out up front. Lisa gave me the last one while I was waiting for you." Hannah smiled. "I'm really glad they went over so well. Lisa worked a long time on the recipe." "They're Lisa's?" Andrea looked surprised. "That's funny. She didn't say a word about it to me." "She wouldn't. Lisa's still a little shy about her baking." "Well, she doesn't have to be. These are winners." Andrea reached for another cookie. "What brings you in, Andrea?" Hannah mentally prepared herself for another sibling crisis. "I just got off the phone with Bill, and he sounded fine. Tracy's okay, isn't she?" "Tracy's fine. Everything's fine. I don't have another showing until 3, and I just dropped in to say hello." Hannah raised her eyebrows. Andrea never just dropped in. "I'm busy tonight, but I can be home by 8:30. Is that too late to drop Tracy off?" "Why would I want to drop Tracy off?" Andrea looked confused. "What are you talking about, Hannah?" "You don't need a sitter tonight?" "No." A dull flush rose to Andrea's cheeks. "I've really been taking advantage of you, haven't I?" "Of course not." Hannah shook her head. "I enjoy spending time with Tracy. She's a great kid." "I know, but when I came in, you just assumed that I needed something. I'm not a very good sister, Hannah. And I take and take, but I never give back. Hannah was uncomfortable. This was getting altogether too serious to suit her. Oh yeah? You urged me to open the cookie jar. I'd call that giving back in spades. You're right. I did suggest it. Andrea looked pleased for a moment. But I really should do more for you, Hannah. You help me out all the time, and I never know how to return the favor. If you just ask me for something, I'd do it. Suddenly, Hannah had a brilliant thought. That's about to change. If you really want to do something for me, you can come along with me to the dentist. My appointment's at 1. Of course I'll come. But I didn't know you were afraid to go to the dentist. Believe me, I am, Hannah said with a grin, especially when the dentist is Norman Rhodes. Andrea's mouth dropped open. But Mother said she tried to set you up with him. Why are you letting him work on your teeth? I'm not. Right before Ron was killed, he had an appointment with Norman. I called him this morning and he confirmed that he'd seen Ron, but he refused to discuss it on the phone. He said he'd tell me all about it if I met him for lunch at his office. Andrea lifted her eyebrows. Very sneaky. And you're afraid that he's using this opportunity to put the moves on you. No, that's not it. He seemed genuinely nice on the phone, but I really don't want to be alone with him. Why not? Unless... Andrea stopped speaking, and her eyes widened. Do you think Norman's a suspect? Hannah shrugged. No, but I can't entirely rule that out. Norman was one of the last people to see Ron alive, and I wouldn't know if he's got an alibi until I ask him. I'll go with you, Andrea agreed quickly. He can't try anything with both of us there. And while you're having lunch and grilling him about Ron, I'll snoop around to see if I can find any evidence. Maybe that's not such a good idea, Andrea. Why? I'm a great snooper, Hannah. I used to snoop through Mother's things all the time, and she never knew it. Besides, I'll be helping Bill, and a wife's supposed to help her husband. It could be very risky, Andrea. Not if we work out a time schedule and stick to it. How long do you think you can keep him occupied? Hannah considered it seriously. No more than 20 minutes. I've got to have longer than that. How about 30? 25, and not a second more, Hannah said firmly. I'll tell him I want to eat lunch in his office, and your time starts the instant I close the door. Okay, we'll synchronize our watches before we go in, and I promise I won't get caught. I hope not. I think it's illegal. Hannah was already beginning to regret asking Andrea to go along. How can just looking through somebody's things be illegal? It's not like I'm going to steal anything, Hannah. If I find any evidence, I'll leave it right where it is and we can tell Bill. I'm still not sure this is such a good idea. Maybe it isn't. But we've got to do something to help Bill solve Ron's murder. He won't mind. Not when I explain it to him. Is it a go? Hannah agreed reluctantly. If Bill ever found out that she'd allowed Andrea to snoop through Norman's office, he'd do more than mind. He'd kill her first and ask questions later.